welcome back to the Plunder Den. In this week's episode, we're going to be building a watchtower. So unfortunately, as you can hear, my voice still hasn't recovered. I actually think it's gotten worse, and probably going to take off next week. But we'll get one more project in before that, and we'll finish this watchtower. So this also want to celebrate is our 100th episode here in the Plunder Den. So I'm really excited about that. I can't believe it's been 100 episodes. But I'm really proud of what I've accomplished from the very first episode that I released to now. It's quite a big difference, and I'm looking forward to the next 100 episodes. But I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without all of you guys supporting the channel, tuning in, leaving comments. Really appreciate it. I know everybody's time is valuable, and I really appreciate you guys spending time with me on this channel, and I hope you're enjoying the content. Now, I definitely have a lot of ideas for a lot of terrain projects coming up for the next 100 episodes. All right, so let's take a look at the tower. Now, I've been kind of wanting to do a tower for a while. I figured I'd start with a kind of a watchtower, a more simple one, but I eventually want to do a stone tower. Maybe something like Lord of the Rings, a big tower or something like that, or a lighthouse, all sorts of different things. But let's focus on this one. This is what I decided to do, is a wooden watchtower. And it's kind of for that maroon faction I built for Blood and Plunder, but I've kind of put fantasy elements on this. This could be used for Warhammer. It could be used for Dungeons & Dragons. It could be used for all sorts of stuff. As usual, very generic terrain that could be used for a lot of projects. All right, so you can see I added this nice little kind of like a palisade spiked wall on the bottom. You got a second level. Instead of doing a ladder, I decided to do a staircase. So we got a staircase that leads right up to the back side. And I've kind of notched it just like my native fortification. Let me just go get a mini here over here and show you what I mean. That you can stick your minis in there. So they can climb up the staircase here. It becomes all the way playable all the way up the staircase. So I'm pretty happy with that. That came out really good. And I made a thatched roof for the top. So let's put it all together here. And that's where we got all together there. So I'm really happy how that turned out. And let's look forward to getting down to the table and start building it with you guys. All right, if you like what we're doing here in the Plunder Den, make sure you smash that like button and consider subscribing to the Plunder Den and get first-hand information when I start these kind of projects. All right, everyone, let's get down to the table, let's start crafting, and let's start painting. All right, so let's start off with a few items that I used on this project. We got some crafting wire. That's that wire I used on those wigwams. I was thinking about maybe putting some of that on the stairwell. We got some popsicle sticks here. This is the Everbuilt rope. I get most of it from Home Depot, but you can get this stuff from the dollar store. Not this brand, but similar kind of rope. I got the willow fence. We got some dowels and assorted wood. That's mostly balsa wood in there, different sizes and shapes. And I got some coffee stir sticks there. So then I started off with the willow fencing and really just kind of laid out a basic shape of what size I wanted the tower. And that's the stairwell, kind of the landing on the stairwell. And I kind of just glued it together. These are the willow fencing. I built a lot of this project with the willow fencing. And I just put it together with that white tacky glue. And I got the popsicle sticks and texturized them with this hobby knife. And broke the ends off with my little clippers I got here that I use to break off the ends, like similar to for my docks. I just wanted to kind of have like rustic planks on this piece. And I decided I was going to make the wood planks go one way on the stairwell and then go the opposite way on the tower. Just more of a just aesthetic looks. I mean, really, you could go either way, but I just wanted to do opposite directions. And then, of course, I'm going to glue those planks on with the white tacky glue again. So once all the planks are on there, I decided that I was going to build the stems or the base of the tower with dowels. Mainly because the dowels are a little straighter, a little flat on the bottom, and I can get a more level tower. I was going to originally use that willow fencing, but they're all kind of wobbly shapes and as natural sticks are, and it was really hard for me to get it to go straight. So I had to carve up these dowels so they didn't look like a dowel, and skewered them again just like I did with the popsicle sticks, and gave them a texture on them so they look like they're actually wood grains. And then I glued them on to the base of the tower here. And I just flipped it upside down and glued those on with the white tacky glue. Now the little dowel here I plan on using on the stairwell one. So same thing, but on a smaller scale. So I'll just show you here. But on there it looks like a little table. And then I started to put some support beams. And I just went back to the willow fencing, trying to build as much as I can of the willow fencing in there, just to give that rustic look that I want for my tower. But it definitely had to use those dowels for the main supports, just so it stays a little bit more level. And I'm just showing you I'm going to do the small platform too as well, and do the same thing. So this is after I've added them on there. You can see I've now added another support beam across. And I'm just kind of adding a little more strength to the base of this tower. And more of a decorative look to it as well. This kind of what it would probably look like. Add some more beams to the center. And then I started to work on the posts that are going to be on the top of the tower. Again, I had to carve them up to make them look more like wood grain. And I again went back to a dowel because it's a little straighter, and I want it to stay a little more straight and true on the top there. But made it look more. Once you paint it all black, it'll look. They all look uniform. It won't look like they're two different types of wood. So I'm just gonna glue them on, and I just kind of glue them above where the posts are below, so it looks like it's the same post going all the way through. And I'm just going to use that white tacky glue. Now you can see I got my miniature out there. I'm always using it to measure out where I want to go. So then I decided to add a detail on the bottom with some balsa wood, mainly because I want to build a little wall around the bottom, like a palisade wall around the base of the tower. So I'm just kind of showing you that. The posts are done. And we got it all together, and now I'm going to do the outer, or essentially the top of the tower, where the roof is going to sit onto. So then I added these smaller posts on there, and used this flat balsa wood to make kind of like a shelf that goes all the way around. And that's kind of just going to give me a sign of a not only a top shelf, but kind of a guide to where I want to put the timbers down below, and kind of make a timber wall all the way around this watchtower here. And of course, I have my mini there just to keep measuring it out to make sure it's the right height. Want to make sure somebody can use their rifle over top of it or shoot arrows across over it, so it looks like the right scale. So this is after I've completed that step. That took a little bit of time, but it was all right, and worked out pretty good. And now I'm kind of measuring out the stairwell that I want to go to the top. So it's a bit of a steeper climb here. And then, of course, I have a little stairwell going to the landing there. So I'm going to make 2 sets of stairs using that willow fence. And I'm just kind of measuring it out, the distance between the two that I need to do. So then I just glued them together with some tacky glue, and I just kind of measured out how many of those sticks I would need, and you can see I already got them started, and this is what it looks like after I completed it. I did put 2 support beams on the bottom of them, just to give a little extra strength, and then kind of work that out. So I also made an additional box, and this is what the roof is going to be made out of. So I made it wider than the top of the roof so it can sit over top of it. So I could just put the roof cap on top of this thing. Then I added some more support beams to the kind of stairwell, and I'm kind of working my way up the top. And I moved back to the top of the tower and made peaks to my roofs using that same willow fencing. And you can see now on the stairwell I've added additional smaller sticks that are protruded out because that's where the minis are going to sit on. So when you walk the minis up there, they can just wedge in there, and you can easily get them to walk up and down the stairwell. no matter really how steep it is. Kind of did the same thing in the native fortification. That worked out good, so I used that same technique here. So then I put a cross beam on the top there, and you can see I put these angled beams on the bottom. That's so when I put this over top of the roof, it actually sits on top of the roof and not fall through. Obviously, it'll just fall all the way through, and I want it to sit at the same height as the post. So then I'm just working on a base for the actual other stairwell that's going to go up to the second level. So I know I'm kind of jumping back and forth through them. As I was building this, certain steps were drying, and I was going on to other steps. And I started framing out the bottoms of this as well. You're just building more strengths. So the more cross beams you put in there, the better off it's going to be. The more strengths you build to those pieces. So these are all dry now, so I can kind of walk my mini up it and show you what I was talking about earlier. See, it just kind of wedges in there. There's actually kind of a little bit loose right now, but it's pretty good. You can see what I'm getting at here. And then I'm going to do the same thing going up here. So then I also added a railing. I'm starting to add details to the actual stairwell as well. And then I got to make these support beams for the stairwell going up to the top. I ended up making 2 sets of them. One right in the middle and one right at the very top, which I'll show you in a sec here. The roof is pretty well dry. It's all framed out now. And I'm just going to put it on top here just to show you what I was planning on doing. See how it sits on there? That's what I intended. And you can see that pretty well the stairwell is now completed. I've added some more cross beams in there. You can see I've added those extra sticks on the stairwells and put a lot of support beams in there. And pretty much just got to let this dry now so it holds its shape. I also put an angled detail on there. This is just purely cosmetic, just to make it look a little nicer. And that's pretty much it for the stairwell. So now for that palisade bottom, I went back to some popsicle sticks, cut them into similar to that kind of that Celtic fence I made. I'm thinking in the back of my mind I kind of incorporated this with the Celtic terrain and make kind of a fortification in the future. But I wanted to do kind of like a spiked wall, and I've seen pictures of a palisade wall using wooden planks going in opposite directions and spiked out like that. The one side has a door opening and just kind of a slit so you can shoot through, and then you got kind of your spikes here, which I really, really like. I wouldn't mind doing a whole wall, like that whole kind of look to it. It would be really, really cool, actually. So then I moved to the roof and really just kind of added more smaller sticks in there just to make it a little tighter weave on here before I start putting the thatched roof on top. So I'm just putting some more support beams on the roof. So now I'm going to prepare the thatched roof, and really I just got some rope here and I'm going to tear it apart. So I cut it into smaller bits, probably about 1.5 inches, and then I pull them apart. And I pull them apart again, and you get kind of this left over. I use this for my hay bales, my thatched roofs on all sorts of native fortifications, and I'm going to put it on here. So all I really did was put a lot of PVA glue on those supports. And then I kind of just pushed down that thatched roof so it stayed pretty flat. And then I just trimmed off the rest with a pair of scissors. And that's really how I got to stay on there. I didn't really put a whole lot in there. I wanted to look a little different than my other thatched roofs. Kind of more like I don't know, just wanted more messy on this one. So I just kind of just pushed it on. So everything now is fabricated. I can just showing you the stairwell all complete. Everything's dried. I know it kind of was going back and forth there, but it's kind of a good way to work. You just do a certain section, let the other side dry while you're working on another piece. That white glue actually dries fairly fast. And you can see after I've added all the thatched roof to the top, and the bottom base is all completed. So everything is pretty well fabricated here now, and we are ready to move on to paint. So we're going to hit it with our black multi-surface craft paint by Folkart, and we're going to seal everything in. I'm even going to paint the top of the thatched roof, which I never do, but I want to make it solid, and that's why I decided to cover it all with black paint. So I'm just showing all the pieces after I've completed it with the black paint. I'm knocking on it. It's actually as hard as a rock right now. I left the light inside, but I just figured it would be messy and dirtier on the top, and that's why I wanted that black undertone. So this is the base all covered in black paint, and we are ready to move on to my base colors. So again, we're not going to spend a lot of time on some of the paint details. It was more the crafting of it, but the real brown is the next color that I use. This is the brush that I usually use it, and I'm just going to cover the entire thing. And, you know, I didn't cover all of it. I just brush it on so you still have some of the black details underneath. I didn't paint on the inside of the roof. I kind of wanted that to stay the light color that it is right now. And then I moved on to the bark brown. That's the next light brown that I use. Same technique, just kind of put it on there. Again, if you want to see more of me painting things, I do have a painting tutorial of painting weathered buildings, and kind of give a good description of how I do it. I actually show you how I paint it. This is the orange Pablo. That's the next color I use. These are all the earth tone undertones that I always put on my terrain, and it kind of gives it a nice feel to it. And then I'm going to move to some camel. After I just show you all these pieces, just show you all the orange Pablo on here. And it gives it a little nice brightness, right? So then I'm going to go on to some camel. I don't have any stonework on this project, but I do plan on using that on the thatched roof and on the cut parts of the wood. So where we cut the wood, I'm going to lighten it up with some of this camel. And I'll put a little bit of weathering in a few different places and add a little bit of camel in certain areas. And then I plan on doing some real brown and this yellow ochre for the decks, similar to my docks or that fortification, fort base. I've done ships that way. I really like that combination. So I start with the real brown and yellow ochre first, so it gives me a darker yellow, and then I highlight it at the very end with just yellow ochre. And that gives you that nice weathered look on your tops of your wood. And I did add a little bit of yellow ochre to that thatched roof, but I'm going to lighten it up again with some other colors. So this is what I'm going to color the wood with, the aged wood. So we got some dark stone going on here. We got some ash gray. And then we also got some dark wood. And we got some hardened leather, Morfang brown. And then those are all the colors that I'm going to use on the wood. And then for the thatched roof, I'm going to hit it again with some skeleton bone here, just to lighten it up a little bit. And also where the cut wood is, so I'm going to highlight some more of that. Add a little more aging again in here. Just add some more details. All right, so that's after I've added all those colors. You can see I got some nice color to the wood. Got a nice aging look to it. I like those speed paints. Gives some brightness, and I really like the way it looks right now. I got some really good aged wood looking posts there, and there's our thatched roof that's coming along nicely. So now I wanted to add my grunge that I like to add to all my pieces. So Agrax Earth Shader, Skeleton Horde, and Commando Green. So this is my grunge crew, as I call it. I just kind of add my grime to everything and give it a good weathered look to it. So just take one look. This is all finished. I've added all my colors to it. And I'm really happy how this project finished out. I definitely want to make lots of other different towers. I might even make a few more of these. I can make a whole kind of fortification island with a whole bunch of these watchtowers in them. Maybe make bigger ones and more elaborate ones. I got some ideas swirling around for these kind of watchtowers. But I'm really happy with overall how this project turned out. Really happy with how the wood grains looked and the weathering on the top. And it came out great. So we're going to go down to the table and take a look at it in action. We'll take a look at some of the new Firelock minis too that I have on the table. So I'll start off with the British. So I got the British Royal Navy here. And in this bark here, we got able seamen, and we got our sea dogs. and the new British commander, seasoned commander, the new generic commander character for Raise the Black. And then we have our grenadiers here, which are a really powerful unit. I can't wait to use them in action too. I then decided to build Maroons. So this is Queen Nanny, which used to be a character, but now she's a commander. And I built some I guess Coromantee, I think Warriors is the name, Coromantee. And I built them from militia and all sorts of different native box and a whole bunch of sailors, and they came out pretty good. They also got some Lanceros and some African warriors, and I got them all over this tower here. It's actually kind of inspired me to make the tower in the first place, to be honest. I was kind of wanting to build some terrain for my Maroon faction. They're more of a land faction. I don't know if I would use them in the water. They don't have as many abilities, but they're definitely fantastic. I think would be a powerhouse on land. So the British Navy is going to have a good fight here on the land here with these Maroons. All right, I hope you guys liked this project. Better get this video to an end here before I lose my voice. So I'm definitely going to take off next week and I think rest the old voice a little bit. All right, thanks so much everyone for watching, and I will see you in the next one.